You owe us everything. My mother didn't raise her voice when she said it. She didn't need to. The confidence in her tone was sharper than shouting. We were sitting in their living room, the same place they'd told me years earlier that my savings would be safer if they held on to it. For your own good, my dad added, arms crossed. You're not responsible enough to manage large amounts of money. I stared at them, waiting for the punchline. There's over 80,000 in that account, I said slowly. I need it back. They laughed, not nervously, not defensively, amused. Proof? My mother said, waving a hand. It's family money now. You don't keep score with family. That's when I felt it. That cold clarity you get when you realize the conversation was never a negotiation. It was a declaration. They hadn't held my savings, they'd absorbed it. I asked one last time, can you show me where it went? My dad smirked. Who do you think you're going to call? The bank? They won't touch this. You signed it over. Signed what over? I stood up without another word. I didn't go home. I didn't call a lawyer. I walked straight outside, sat in my car, and dialed a number they never expected me to use. Before I tell you what happened when the police arrived and why my parents stopped laughing, tell me in the comments, have you ever trusted family with money and regretted it? I didn't argue with them. That confused my mother more than anger ever would have. She was used to tears, to panic, to me explaining myself like a child caught doing something wrong. Instead, I picked up my bag and walked toward the door. Where do you think you're going? My dad asked, half laughing. This is just you being dramatic. I stopped, turned back, and asked one calm question. Can you show me a statement, a transfer record, anything that proves my money is still there? They looked at each other and laughed again. You're being paranoid, my mother said. We moved it around for safety. For whose safety? I asked. That's when my dad's smile hardened. Ours, he said, without realizing what he'd admitted. I nodded once. Silence makes people careless. They fill it with truth. I didn't threaten them. I didn't say I'd call anyone. I walked outside, sat in my car, and stared at the steering wheel for a full minute, letting the shock drain out so my voice would stay steady. Then I dialed the non-emergency police line. Not hysterical, not angry. I'd like to report a possible theft. My parents took my savings and can't account for where it went. The dispatcher paused. How much? 83,000, I replied. The pause was longer this time. An officer will be sent to the address. Through the windshield, I watched my parents still laughing in the living room. They had no idea the rules had just changed. While I waited in the car, memories stacked themselves neatly, like evidence finally deciding to line up. It started years ago when I got my first real job. My parents insisted I wasn't ready for that kind of responsibility. They framed it as protection. We'll hold on to it for you, they said, just until you're stable. Every raise became a reason to tighten their grip. You don't need access, my mother would say. You just stress yourself out, my dad added. Whenever I asked about balances, they'd deflect. It's safe, trust us. Why are you so obsessed with money? Money was never the obsession. Control was. They decided when I could move, when I could travel, when I could say no. Any resistance became proof I wasn't mature enough to handle my own life. The savings account wasn't just money. It was leverage, a way to keep me dependent while telling themselves they were generous. I remembered my dad once joking at dinner. She'd be lost without us. Everyone laughed, including me. Sitting in the car now, that laugh felt like a confession I'd missed. The dispatcher's words echoed back in my head. An officer will be sent to the address. For the first time, the story wasn't being told by my parents. It was about to be written down by someone who didn't care who raised whom, only who took what. And when the police arrived, they wouldn't ask about family loyalty. They'd ask for receipts. The patrol car pulled up quietly. No sirens, no drama. Just tires crunching on gravel and a uniform stepping out like this was any other call, which to him it was. I watched my parents through the window as the officer rang the doorbell. My mother opened it smiling. That smile vanished the second she saw the badge. "Yes?" she asked, too brightly. "I'm responding to a report of stolen funds," the officer said evenly. "May I come in?" They both looked toward my car, toward me. I stayed seated. Inside, voices rose fast, not shouting, over-explaining, the kind people do when they think confidence equals credibility. "It's family money," my dad said. "She gave it to us." "Did she?" the officer asked. That question stopped them cold. "Do you have documentation showing she transferred ownership? A gift letter? Authorization? Anything?" Silence. I stepped out of the car then, walked up slowly, calm, controlled. "I never signed anything," I said. "They told me it was being held for safekeeping." The officer nodded and turned back to them. "Can you show me where the money is now?" My mother laughed nervously. "We moved it around. You know how accounts work." "Which accounts?" he asked. More silence. He took out a notebook. "Ma'am," he said gently, "moving someone else's money without permission is theft, even if you're related." My dad's face changed then. Not angry, afraid. Because the conversation had crossed a line they didn't know how to step back over, and the officer wasn't there to mediate feelings. He was there to document facts. The laughter vanished. My dad started talking fast, too fast. "This is a misunderstanding," he said, palms open like he was offering reason. "She asked us to manage it. She gets anxious about money." The officer didn't look impressed. He wrote something down. "Do you have written permission?" he asked. My mother crossed her arms. "We're her parents." The officer looked up. "That's not an answer." That's when the panic leaked through the cracks. "We can get it back," my dad said quickly. "It's invested. You don't just pull money out." "Where?" the officer asked. My mother hesitated. "Different places." "Which places?" he pressed. They looked at each other. A silent argument passed between them. Who would lie? Who would stall? I spoke before they could decide. "I never signed anything," I said. "They told me it was being held for safekeeping." The officer nodded and turned back to them. "So you took your adult child's savings without authorization, spent it, and can't account for the funds?" My dad rushed forward. "We're family. We can fix this. We'll sell something. We just need time." Time. The word they'd used for years. The officer shook his head. "That's not how this works." He turned to me. "Do you want to press charges?" My parents stared at me, wide-eyed now. No laughter left, no superiority, just fear. I took a breath. "Yes," I said. And in that moment, the lie they'd been living on finally collapsed, because surrender doesn't work once the truth is documented. The officer didn't arrest them right away. That was the worst part, for them. Instead, he asked to sit down at the dining table, pulled his notebook back out, calm, methodical, like he had all the time in the world. "Let's walk through this," he said. "When did the account open?" My dad answered automatically, habit. "How much was deposited over time?" My mother tried to minimize. "It varied." The officer wrote anyway. "Who had access?" Silence. "Only you two?" he asked. My mother nodded, eyes darting to me. "And your daughter?" he continued. "No," my dad said quietly. That single word landed heavier than any accusation. The officer looked up. "So, to be clear, you controlled the account, spent the funds, and excluded the owner." Owner. That word changed everything. He slid a form across the table. "This is a preliminary incident report. It documents unauthorized control and conversion of funds." My mother reached for it, hands shaking. "Is this criminal?" "It can be," the officer replied. "That depends on what detectives find next." My dad finally raised his voice. "This is overkill. She's our daughter." The officer didn't blink. "She's an adult." He stood. "I'm forwarding this to financial crimes. You'll be contacted." As he walked toward the door, my mother whispered, "What happens now?" He turned back once. "Now," he said, "you don't get to laugh anymore." The door closed, and the house, once loud with certainty, went completely silent. They broke that night. Not loudly, not all at once. My dad started pacing the living room, phone glued to his ear, whispering to people who suddenly didn't answer. My mother sat at the table staring at the incident report like it might rearrange itself if she looked long enough. That's when the truth started leaking out, unfiltered. "We were going to tell you," she said finally, voice thin. "After the credit cards," my dad muttered. "After the loan." I looked at him. "What loan?" He froze. My mother shot him a look sharp enough to cut. Too late. "The house," she said quietly. "We borrowed against it." "Against my savings." The room tilted. "You used my money as collateral?" I asked. My dad didn't answer. He didn't need to. The next morning, a detective called. Calm voice, direct questions, names, dates, amounts. He asked if I'd ever authorized transfers, asked if I'd ever received statements. "No," I said, "never." "Did they tell you the money was still intact?" "Yes." There was a pause. "Then this is no longer a misunderstanding, it's misappropriation." When my parents realized the police weren't going away, weren't negotiating, weren't cooling things down, they finally stopped blaming me and started blaming each other. That's how I knew the truth was fully out, because liars only turn on each other when the story can't be held together anymore. 2 weeks later, the knock came again. This time it wasn't one officer. 2 detectives stood on the porch. Plainclothes, folders under their arms, the kind of calm that only shows up when decisions have already been made. "We need to ask you a few follow-up questions," one of them said, to my parents. They didn't invite me to sit this time. They interviewed me first, separately, recorded, verified, cross-checked my statements with bank records, loan documents, timestamps, signatures. Then they talked to my parents. Behind a closed door, voices rose, accusations leaked through the walls, words like, "I told you not to," and "you said it would be fine." When the detectives came back out, their tone was different. "This matter has been referred to the district attorney. Financial exploitation. Unauthorized conversion." My mother's knees buckled. My dad went rigid, like a statue trying not to crack. "Is there any way to fix this?" my dad asked. The detective shook his head. "Not retroactively." They explained next steps, subpoenas, asset tracing, restitution orders, if funds could be recovered. As the door closed behind them, my parents looked at me like strangers. They'd laughed when I asked for proof. They'd laughed because they thought family meant immunity. But the law doesn't care who raised you. It only cares who took what. That night, my mother came to my room, not crying, not angry, careful. "We didn't mean to hurt you," she said, sitting on the edge of the bed like she still had that right. "We were under pressure. You know how expensive life is." There it was, the rewrite. "You've always been strong," my dad added from the doorway. "We thought you could handle it." Handle it. That word again, the excuse they used every time they crossed a line. "You don't want to ruin our lives over this," my mother whispered. "We raised you. We sacrificed for you." I looked at them calmly. "You didn't ask," I said. "You took." My dad's voice sharpened. "So what? You're just going to let strangers tear this family apart?" "No," I replied. "You did that yourselves." My mother reached for my hand. I stepped back. "This can still go away," she said desperately, "if you tell them you changed your mind." I shook my head. I already told the truth. That's when they finally understood. This wasn't about forgiveness anymore. It wasn't about family. It was about consequences. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one absorbing them. The case didn't explode the way people imagine. No handcuffs on the lawn, no shouting matches in court, just paperwork, interviews, subpoenas, and time. working slowly, relentlessly in my favor. The district attorney offered them a deal: full restitution, structured payments, asset liquidation, no jail if they complied. They agreed immediately. Pride dissolves fast when freedom is on the line. The house was refinanced again, this time honestly. Proceeds went straight to a restitution account in my name. Not all of it was recovered. Some money was gone forever. But the leverage was gone too. I moved out quietly a month later. New apartment, new accounts. My name and only my name on everything. The police report stayed on file. The bank flagged their accounts permanently. We don't talk now, not because I'm angry, because trust doesn't regrow where it was used as currency. They told me I owed them everything. They laughed when I asked for proof. Now, every dollar they earn goes toward paying back what they stole, and they don't laugh anymore. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I let the law do what family never would: protect me.